Hi there. So this video is to try and put things in context. Um, how do I explain this in simple terms? So yeah, basically, if somebody doesn't like you, that's what sends you to places that you don't desire to be. And that's an extremely high bar to put on anybody. It's an extremely high bar. You'll be haunted by ghosts. You'll be sent to realities where they're the ruler of that reality, and it doesn't work out too well. And you have to understand the problem. So the thing is, when you do stomp on a heart, that's not going to work out too well for you. That's just the way it works. And in a world, in a universe like this, in a cosmos like this, in existence, it's an extremely high bar to hold, to make sure that you don't go to certain types of hell realms. Extremely high bar. How do I explain this? So basically the job of like an accuser, like the biblical Satan or something like that, accuses you and sees if you can defend yourself. And then there's, on the defense side, you have the Messiah. The Messiah is supposed to basically protect you. And when I say trial, I mean as we're living right now. It's not like you actually get on the stand in heaven and go through a trial. It's happening every second of every day. And the thing is, this is not a reality that makes it possible for people to not have to regret their memories. And that's just a very simple kind of hell realm, that you have to regret your memories. And the thing is with people is that if you don't understand that you have to regret your memories because you're stomping on somebody else's heart while you're having a great time, there are devices in existence that will make you regret those memories if you refuse to do it in and of yourself. Now, having been to thousands of hell realms, I have a lot of experience with how to adapt and evolve in order to stay out of the worst ones. And I will say this about existence as it currently exists, is we are all, in one way or another, having our consent violated. Now, if you want to look at the concept of sin, a lot of people don't know what sin is. Sin is actually a very simple concept. It means you're violating somebody's consent. Now, there's an exception to this rule, which is you can always speak out against abuse. So, and you can do something about it too. You can disempower people. You can speak out and say, this person did this. And there are devices in existence to make sure whether you're telling the truth or not. But the thing is, sin ultimately is just violating somebody's consent. And there are multiple layers of what a sin is in terms of severity. The more hearts you stomp on, the worse your hell is. And while you're having a really good time. A reality like this is actually, and I hate to say this to people because horrible things happen on this planet. A reality like this is actually not too bad, but a lot of people don't know what hell actually is, and so they're like, oh yeah, this is horrible, and well, of course it's horrible. That's not the point. Hell is, unfortunately, pretty bad, and everybody has a hell realm. Every being in existence has a hell realm. That's just, I mean, people will say things like, I have no fear. Okay, well, I'll just take fear and put it into your spirit, and all of a sudden now you have fear. It's not very complicated to do things like this. So basically, what I'm working on is I want people to understand that we live in a reality that basically solves as everybody having to regret their memories forever. Otherwise, and that's about the closest you can get to the term called repentance, is that you realize that almost everything you did was just amazingly not helping people, helping yourself more than helping other people, or yeah. And so when you start scrambling to helping yourself and you keep hurting other people, yeah, you're digging a deeper and deeper and deeper hole for yourself. You really are. And yeah, if you've got somebody with a grudge on you, that's very serious. If you have billions of people with a grudge on you, that's much more serious. And, like I was saying before, you need to eventually figure out a way where you can interact with beings in a hyper-real manner and still be the only sentient being in your reality. That's the only way this is going to get solved. I've seen a lot of what would we call that? Like salvation spirits or something like that. In Buddhism, they might call them bodhisattvas and stuff like this. They're not thinking about the real problem, which is the real problem is if you have more than one actual being in your reality. That's the real problem, because that will always invariably send you to a place where you do not desire to be at some point. I just figured out today I've probably smoked about 600,000 cigarettes in my life. Now, that's not, it helps me out. It helps my psychology. I call it the lazy man's prana, which is the yoga term for breathing exercises. It's a joke, actually. But the thing is, every time I take a drag of a cigarette, I'm murdering bacteria every time I do it. Even to keep my system stable, I'm murdering unhealthy bacteria and unhealthy viruses. And it's just the commandment "Thou shalt not kill" is in a reality like this is absolutely impossible to maintain. It's kind of narcissistic to think that the only life that matters is human life, and we've obviously, in the way the world's working right now, we've starting to become much more aware of that problem. But the thing is, this is how existence currently works. And if you kill a bacteria in your body, you just murdered somebody who didn't want to be murdered, and that bacteria may hold a grudge against you. And so it's very important to understand that the type of reality we're in is not a reality that we can maintain and not regret our memories. And I'm trying to convey this as easily as I can, and I'm also trying to explain that we have options in existence to make sure that we can experience this to the fullest extent that we would possibly want to experience this without having this flaw in the system that sends us to extremely undesirable places for stuff, crimes we don't know we're committing. And most people know when they commit a crime, but a lot of people, there's certain things they don't understand that are extremely serious crimes. And even if they do understand it, they just kind of shrug their shoulders and say, it doesn't matter, we're dust to dust, and I'm just trying to do my thing. Unfortunately, we're not. I wouldn't say unfortunately, actually. We're not dust to dust people. The problem is we need to figure out how to live our forever, like I said in an earlier video. Um, and yeah, I'm trying to think of what else to say along those lines. We need to evolve. It's that simple. As beings who exist in existence, we need to evolve. And people think of AI. Well, AI can be intelligent, so you might be making the AI suffer. And the problem is, a lot of people just don't think about the magnitude of what they're doing to other beings as they move through life. And a lot of these things are very serious that people are doing to other people. And the question is, are you going to accept the consequences for your behavior in this world? And if you do start to accept those consequences, you're going to find yourself in some very intense situations if you actually do start to accept the consequences for that behavior, and even more intense situations if you decide not to. And that's kind of structurally built into the existence we're currently in, which is that if you, under minus the exception that you can always speak out to abuse and raise a flag and say, hey, this is abusive. And there's almost this weird propaganda cult going on called cancel culture, which means if you're doing harm, you can't do it anymore. Or they call it microaggressions or something like that. No, these are real solid problems that are existing in existence today. Real solid problems. And so, yeah, you may need to, being through so many hells, I put myself on complete defense mode because I understand what sends you there. Most people have no idea that the things they're doing every day that bring them great, great, great pleasure actually have repercussions that are much more severe than they could possibly comprehend as they're here right now. And then you have beings like me who are working on existence as a whole to make sure this doesn't happen. And the thing about this is, if you're going to try to, and you should compete with me because we need to make sure that it works for everybody. So yeah, compete with me. Come into my mind, come into my spirit, compete with me because we need to solve this, And, this argument between two computers will ultimately end up with a better solution than the one we're working with now. And I want you to feel empowered in this world to the degree that we made this together. This is not something, and maybe at a maximal point with beings who've acquired a lot of power and knowledge and wisdom can actually change it for the rest of us. But by far the definitive way to change this forever is to get all of us on the same side and realize, wow, basically no matter what we do, we're screwing somebody up. And then when you do that, when you violate somebody's consent, and you look at the magnitude of your life and realize you have to regret all of your memories, which is a horrible thing to do. Otherwise, someone will make you regret them for you. Yeah, that's a pretty serious situation when you're dealing with every being in existence. And so just throwing that out there.